One, they say no living man can kill.
Hello, everybody. We're just having a little tutoring session here. So I'm going to give my guest the entrance she so rightly deserves.
See him. What the hell?
Get down!
Oh, you stupid! Wait!
Welcome, Keybladewriter. I'm happy to have you on the show.
Hi!
Welcome aboard. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you started writing, and how you came up with this idea.
I've been writing for a few years now. I've been trying to have like several story ideas. With anything, you have like so many ideas you want to get out there. And for this particular idea that we're talking about today, a lot of it was probably inspired, besides my love of fantasy, from a lot of the crap that's been going on in general. I think just too many people buying the listen and believe thing, and not understanding that there's a lot of problems with it.
There's kind of that element of it's simplistic.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And so what was like kind of the thing that like inspired you to first start writing in the first place?
What was that?
What kind of like inspired you to write initially? Initially, just like as something you wanted to do.
It's just I always just enjoy telling stories. I always enjoyed a good book, a good game, and I just wanted to have I wanted to be able to write stories for myself, and I started coming up with characters and started developing stories over time through that.
Okay, nice. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad to have you. And we've got a couple of people saying hi in the chat. Akos Kovac, welcome. Dr. Crow, good to have you. And hopefully some more people will come in and start chatting. But tell us about your idea, what you're working on with it, and how I can help you.
All right. So the basic premise of the story, and like I'm planning on this being a trilogy of some sort, maybe a duology, is this girl is trying to, her father was accused of a crime he did not commit, and she's trying to find the evidence to prove that he's innocent, and that it was her mother that did who was the one who actually committed the crime. And so she finds out about this. She knows about this spell that can help someone to learn another person's secrets, kind of like read their mind. And from there, she's hoping if she can learn this particular magic, this particular spell, that she might be able to find some kind of concrete or hard evidence that could prove that her father is innocent and help get him out of prison.
Okay, nice. So, in terms of like a construction, what would you say like are the things that you kind of want to develop about this story? Just like kind of bounce your ideas. What are some ideas that you want to bounce off me?
Well, there is the basic premise, as I mentioned before. My one idea that for what I was been going with so far is that she finds the one person who knows this particular type of magic because it's like really rare and like all the other people who used to know it are dead. So she goes up to this one. She goes to this elven city to seek out this teacher, and within the first 3 seconds, she's rejected. And she finds out why, what happened to him. So her mindset is, if I can arrest the person who committed this crime against the teacher, maybe he'll take me in as a student. So, and then most of the plot seems to be about that. And I do worry that it's going to detract from the whole her wanting to rescue her father as well.
Okay. So it's kind of like you don't want this kind of side plot to be too long and too like attention diverting. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, because I do worry, like, I don't want the main premise to drive for the character to be forgotten about very easily because she's doing this other thing, but there's a means to doing the other thing.
Okay, so so it's kind of like you want to figure out a way to kind of make this relevant without kind of just kind of diverting.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, there are a couple of things. So kind of there's two kind of conflicts as you've described it. There's the girl trying to rescue her wrongly accused dad, and then there's the trying to get the help of this this mental magic master who can help her. And you're thinking that the way that she'll earn his respect is by finding a guy who wronged the master and then helping the master get justice for him.
Yes.
Himself. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, in terms of the overall plot, so we have the ticking clock of her dad. Is there like a sentence that she's going to be trying to be racing against the clock for, or is it kind of just general he's held in prison?
It's been the general he's held in prison. I've debated on if there should be like beat the clock or something, but I can't seem to make that particular aspect work too much, not in a way that would fit. But so far it's just she just wants to get him out of prison. I have the story starting off so far, like she's visiting him in prison and he's just talked to his lawyer and they kind of agree that he needs to give up, even though there's, because I think I was going to have it like he was arrested for kind of being framed, and like the evidence was circumstantial at best, but it was enough to get him behind bars.
Okay. So in terms of the plot, we're working with kind of she's trying to get her dad out of prison. Is there another like possible time factor, like maybe like if she doesn't get him out, she will lose her inheritance or something along those lines, or her stepmother will kick her out, or her stepmother does kick her out? Is that something that happens, or?
Her mother, I'm thinking, her mother would, her mother is, I don't want to do the one thing I know I want to avoid is the whole, be forced into an arranged marriage, because that's done to death. And
Yeah,
that's way too much.
Yeah, that's clearly cliche. Yeah,
Sent off to like military academy or something that's like on the other side of the ocean, and this way she doesn't have access to her father. and it
That's
kind
actually
of is the reason he ends up running away.
that actually sounds like a good idea.
Oh, thank you.
I think that just having that does make sense. That like the mom, especially if the mom is framing the dad,
Mhm.
I think that makes sense. That she would try to get. So is it stepmom or mom?
It's her
Uh,
mom.
that's very interesting. Okay,
No, it's
so
mom. It's her actual mom.
okay, so that's a very interesting change from the usual. That's very smart. I like it.
Thank you.
I guess like what's the so in terms of the um, getting out and the figuring out, what is like would you say is like the girl's impetus to getting out? Like, is she thinking from the get-go that she's going to escape, or does she kind of get up the will to escape?
I'm thinking get the will to, because she's from like how I have it starting off is that she's kind of going behind her mother's back to see her dad. That her mother had, that through the years that she's gone to see him, her mother hasn't approved, but lately she's been trying to be really strict, but more strict than before about it.
Hmm.
And she, of course, is not listening because that's her dad, and she knows her dad's innocent. So she's been going behind the mother's back to see him, and I'm thinking how I have it set up is that she does get caught yet again. She gets caught this time because she thinks her mother is out at a party when the mother didn't go, and at one point, I'm thinking that the mother just locks her. What she ends up doing is locking her in like a in putting a spell on like her room's door or something, and saying that she basically can't leave until the day she has to go for her military school thing on the other side of the ocean.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, seems pretty straightforward so far. I like it. Okay. So like her mom is able to like lock things, is it,
Yeah,
or
yeah, lock things, can cast magic, that type of thing. Very
okay.
minor, like sort of, it's not like super powerful, just like enough to like manipulate things like locks and doors and material things like that.
Hmm. Okay. That makes sense. So and then we have her escaping to go find um the the mental wizard, or
Yeah.
is that the case? Okay. Um So, what kind of obstacles are in her way getting there? Or is that like not something that you're struggling with? That's something you have pretty clear.
That probably be the one thing, because obviously, yeah, she's locked in the room now, and I, it seems like it's too easy to. The servant got her out.
Yeah, that's tried and true
Yeah,
cliche. Yes.
done too.
Yeah.
And
You
picking. At this point, she doesn't even know how to pick a lock.
good use of limitation on your character. I like it.
Thank you.
Hmm.
So, and I'm thinking, of course, a mother would have been smart, so she would have put a curse on the windows. So even
Mm-hmm.
she can't even go through the windows, so she is stuck for the most part. I just don't want to. I'm just trying to figure out a way how she could like get out of there.
Okay. Okay. Um. And does the spell like make the window unbreakable, or does it just lock it?
I'm thinking it just locks it. It also, because they have like a little, those little things where you can put the food through, the dumbwaiter.
Hmm. Okay.
So she can get food through the dumbwaiter, so she's not starving, but she can't leave her room.
Okay. I guess maybe the curse is on like her, so that she can't like move beyond the bounds. I think that might make things more simple.
Yeah.
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 As opposed to like,
work.
yeah. Let me think. What? So, in terms of getting her out, I think that actually it might be good to just wait till they're on the road to leave for her to leave when she's away from her mom's influence. Would that work?
I'm thinking that when the only way she could actually like get out is like the mother is gonna wait until they're on their way to the military school, and she's gonna be there with guards and the like. So I don't know how easy that would make it. Or I mean, not saying it has to be super easy by any means. Just like I'm just trying to think in terms of realistic.
Yeah, you're wondering if it's plausible or not.
Yeah.
I remember you saying earlier that this girl has mental magic. Is that correct? Like she can read
But that's
minds. Or...
this town. Like she also has a friend there that because one of her dad's associates lives in this particular in this elven city, so she has an associate there who can give her a place to stay. So she's probably going to head there, but she doesn't. But she does not have mental magic at this time.
Okay. So she's trying to. So it's not like what is it? Kind of like in Merlin, where kind of just it's a reaction sometimes. It was where if you get kind of angry enough, you just kind of react.
Yeah.
Actually, Cinema Massacre actually had a good point.
Huh. That could definitely work. Yeah, that's definitely something to consider. I like that.
Alrighty. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Visitor Massacre. That's a good suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah, that really is.
Yeah. So if you figure out like a way to escape, might be while everybody's asleep, that could actually be a good tense moment where she manages to get out.
Yeah.
Or like when they're on the road, another option is figuring out like some kind of loophole, like and so so in terms of like the lock, is it utterly impenetrable, or is there maybe some kind of like condition on it? Like I think even though this is kind of a bad movie, but all Barbie movies are bad. I stand by that statement. All Barbie movies are bad.
I haven't seen a Barbie movie in a long time. So I can't say.
Okay, so in Barbie Rapunzel, there's the witch casts a spell that says any person with a lying heart cannot pass through this barrier, and it can never be broken. And because Rapunzel has been truthful, she manages to step through it after she realizes, oh, that's the win condition.
Ah. That's definitely something to consider.
Yeah. and it ends up trapping the villain because the villain is a liar and she can never get out of out of that tower.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah. Well, you never know who on the internet is out there, Crow.
Charles is telling the truth.
Yeah, there's very, very saccharine. Very, very saccharine. Though somehow one of them has the exact same plot as Aquaman.
Huh.
Yeah. This has been Dunn's brief opinions on the Barbie movies. So, I think like ultimately like it's up to you to kind of figure out like so what like when like when condition might you kind of might there be for her to get out, because like you were saying, it kind of seems like it's more realistic if she gets out of the house as opposed to on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you know your magic better than anybody on the planet. So
Mm-hmm.
what like are some of the weaknesses that she might be able to exploit in this case?
Mm. In terms of like, I'm trying to think of how the character would set this up too. I'm thinking, breaking the glass is definitely an option to consider. But again, I do worry that might be be a little too easy for the character in terms of just being able to get out.
I guess kind of an option might be she figures out like what if the spell has to be bound to a certain item of clothing or a body part.
Mm. One idea is maybe using the dumbwaiter somehow, because I did mention she has a dumbwaiter for getting food and stuff, so she's not starving.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it might be a bit of an oversight on the mom, because she'll fill out the doors and the windows, but not the dumbwaiter.
Mm-hmm. Another possibility is she just kind of locks a bracelet onto her daughter and makes it so that is tied to the room, and then she figures out how to get out of that.
Yeah.
Maybe by like dislocating her finger or something to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you even like have some setup scenes earlier where she's training in the military to if they catch you and put you in manacles, this is how you get out.
Ah, yeah, that's a good idea. That one's definitely something to consider.
Yeah, and once she's gotten out of the manacle, the curse Ursa's left. So yeah, and then she'll be able to like unlock the window or the door, whichever, and then slide down. Thank you for that amazing pun, Visitor Master. Though to get other funny stuff is I'm just like you, you're just like me. It's something anyone can see.
great.
Yeah, I got some good people in the chat. They're hilarious. Yeah. I'm just waiting for people to say, "Done, screw you, don't sing." Yeah. Okay. So now that we kind of have her getting out, like at least like you have a few options on what to do. Whether it be dumbwaiter, whether it be tied to an object that she figures out how to get out of. You have a few options.
That definitely, and all of them are really good ones to consider for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So then like she goes on her journey to find this guy. And then she finds him. Is there any like pieces of the plot that you would like to kind of bounce off of me in terms of like her getting to the place, or do you want to just jump straight to like kind of figuring out how you want to figure out this mental wizard guy and how to like tie in the way to free her dad by proving herself to him, if that makes sense?
Oh, it does make sense. I think I've always figured that her getting there would be more straightforward because all she would need to, she would either walk or hitch a ride or something. But it was always just like from there, it was mostly about the wizard himself, the one that basically rejects her in the beginning.
Okay. So what are you thinking is kind of the thing that he wants from her in order to get what he wants, in order to kind of say, hey, I guess I could help you, but you got to earn it.
My thinking was at first he's going to just flat out reject her, not give her a reason. She's going to, be a little disappointed about it, but come back and try to talk to him again about this. And that's maybe when he starts mentioning that, that he doesn't teach anymore, that she should just give up and all that other stuff. And then later on she finds out why. I'm just trying to figure out like how she finds out, because again, like this is essentially she's essentially a stranger to the wizard. He's not going to open up and be like, here's my life story.
That makes sense. I like it. Continue, please.
My guess was either she finds out through either someone else telling her, or she's looking through a history book in the library and finds out that the place he used to run a school or something.
So how far of a distance is this library from where he lives?
I'm thinking it's in the city. It's in the city itself.
Ah, okay, so he's in a city. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking that he was kind of in a hermit type place.
Yeah, I mean, he's a hermit himself, but he lives in the city. All of the daily functioning needs and everything, he's in the city. He's just a hermit in the city.
Oh, okay. So he's like he's reclusive in the city itself without like being like out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a smart move actually. I like it.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have. Okay, so she has to find out either. So I think probably from what you've described about this world to me in other conversations that we've had, since the mental magic is kind of almost like a taboo, because it's a lot of people view it as too powerful.
Mhm.
They would. I don't know if somebody telling her might be the best option, since it seems like he's undercover. So unless it's somebody who's like his friend that has been sticking around with him, kind of like have you heard the story of Strong Wind? It's a Navajo story.
I have not, no.
Okay. So basically, Strong Wind is a man who is able to turn himself invisible, and he lives with his sister, and his sister is the only one who's able to see him. And eventually, like, he decides he wants to marry, but he wants to marry a woman who is worthy of him. So, or at least like has a pure and good heart. So he declares a test that anybody that his sister will be the judge of, she will ask them questions, and like, what is his bow made out of, and what is the sledge that he has. And a lot of girls are able to answer the question, but they do it in the wrong way. They don't really see it. They haven't seen him. And eventually this girl who's this poor girl who's had a really rough life, who's had burned skin and stuff, is able to come up to her and says, "I've seen him." And she says, "Okay, prove it." And she's like, "What's his bow made out of?" "It's the rainbow." And the sister's like, "Dang." And then the sister says, "Okay, what's his sledge?" "It's the stars of the Milky Way." And she's like, "Perfect, she's the one." So that's kind of the gist of the story, where she has this guy might either, like, if you want somebody to tell her, he might have like a confidant, like a close family member, a wife, or a very good friend, or even like a protege that's not necessarily magical, but he like runs errands and stuff for him. Those could be the options of somebody to tell her.
Yeah.
Or if it's something in the library, that's fairly simple. You just find a book about them,
Yeah.
about their history. So we've got a couple of options there. Which one do you think you like better?
I think I like the idea of someone actually telling her his, his story, because it would make more sense, I guess. But yeah, I think I like that option more, where someone sits down with her and talks to her and tells her, "Hey, this is why you're not being accepted as a student. And this is what happened to him to cause this."
Okay. I think that's, and it could also lead to some good emotion from the part of the character telling her. I think that could be really good.
Mhm.
Especially if that person was like involved in getting the guy out of danger and finding him a new life.
Yeah. Yeah, that could definitely work.
So, no problem, Uncle Zam.
No problem.
So, what are you thinking is the thing of value that this guy wants that he has exactly, or at least can get, possibly.
You mean in terms of the wizard himself,
Uh,
or
the wizard, like how she gets him to help her.
her whole process of thinking is that she's gonna try to find the guy who killed off, like, who committed the crime that he did of killing off, all his other students and everyone else who studied this particular discipline of magic. And her mindset is, oh well, if I catch this guy, maybe it'll bring some sense of peace to the wizard, and he'll take me on as a student when he sees how dedicated I am to helping him get justice, or he'll at
Okay.
least hear.
Okay. So, So there's a so do you have an idea of who was the person that did the deed? Like
Yes.
in terms of like his position, is he like a vigilante bounty hunter? Is he a government official, or what is
For
like his for the guy that did the killing? Uh, what's like his position?
I'm thinking he's either, and this is the one part I am kind of stuck on. Either he's going to be like a second in command, or he's the one in charge of like kind of like a underworld type of scenario, that he's used his abilities that he learned from the school to gain wealth, power, all this other stuff.
So, is it safe to kind of say he's kind of a less kind of high up Darth Vader type?
Yeah.
Okay. So what? So like he's kind of okay. So he's in charge of the underworld in this or at least like a second in command in this underworld type place, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I was kind of wondering like why the wizard hasn't killed him yet if he's in the city already, or at least like tried to, or is like he, or does he not, or is he kind of visiting temporarily?
You mean for the wizard or for the murderer?
The murderer. Sorry, I was not clear. I apologize.
I had that the murderer was in like either another city somewhere, or that he was or a smaller town per se, and like he was a distance away. That's another thing I haven't thought of, like why the wizard didn't go to get revenge himself. My original thought was like he kept the wizard alive to kind of punish him, because what I had in mind so far was that the guy, the guy who would end up eventually being the murderer, he would that he had this that the wizard was a really strict teacher, and the guy who would end up being the killer just got tired of trying to impress a guy who would never be impressed, so he just went to say screw it, I'll show him how good I am, and decided to kill everybody.
Okay, it's kind of the almost the look what you made me do. Is that a correct assumption?
Yes.
Okay. So one option, so what, it was government mandated that the people die, correct?
No. The murderer just killed because he got tired of trying to show the wizard how good he was as a student.
Oh, okay. I mean, like, so there wasn't like, oh, okay. I remember kind of hearing the nobility killed a bunch of people who were who had mental abilities. abilities in a previous conversation. I apologize. Maybe I'm just misremembering. Sorry, you cut out.
No worries, I said.
Okay. So this was kind of just a he killed a bunch. So he's just kind of a guy who's kind of using his powers in the underworld. Does he have any connections with the government? Is that something that he has that kind of makes him untouchable?
I'm thinking it makes him untouchable. Yeah, I would definitely say for a few of the more like seedier politicians that have used his powers, he's definitely got some connections there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like mostly just with other like underworld type beings and things like that, and any sort of like equivalent of noble who would not want their secrets getting out type of thing.
Mm. Okay, so is it safe to assume that this guy is kind of a? Are you familiar with A Song of Ice and Fire or the Game of Thrones TV show?
Yeah.
Okay. So in that, there's a character by the name of Peter Baelish, and Peter Baelish has basically been utilizing the fact that he is a charming man and an excellent liar to kind of slowly climb his way up the power ladder. But he does it very cleverly. He doesn't try to make any big waves. He's charming and is trying to be of help to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so he will get money through taxes and loans, but he'll also skim off of it and embezzle lots of money and then invest it in ventures that he believes are successful, like buying up flour when it's cheap and selling it as bread when it's expensive.
Yeah.
Or investing lots of money in whorehouses because they're a more safe investment, and slowly like brokering deals and being a help to the people he is working for so that he can slowly accrue lands and power.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like that's kind of the type of character that you're going with, somebody who has made himself indispensable to the government.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I'm assuming that it's through that he has like blackmail folders.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So he has blackmail folders, possibly, maybe even, like he might even have, I guess, what is it? Like the ability to kind of like read the minds of like merchants and bankers and invest in the things he sees as most likely to profit. So he's very wealthy.
Yeah.
Okay. So does he have some kind of, is he more like a consultant, or does he have an official position of some type, would you say?
Well, any position he has is not with the government itself. I would definitely say it's more like he maybe is, like I said, second in command to this underworld gang that got stuff going on. But again, he has ties to like certain politicians and everything. He just likes to stay out of the political stuff unless he feels it benefits him. But most of the time, he's just like he's worked for like disposing of people and things like that.
Okay. Is there a particular reason you want him to be second in command? Is that working into how he is part of like his downfall? Is that what you want to do, or what's the purpose behind that?
It's one of those things where I've been torn if I should just make him the straight up just leader, or if the more I develop this particular character, the more it seems like he likes to, slink in the shadows and keep to himself also, but he's not afraid to get his hands dirty.
So is the leader is he just kind of the second in command in name only? He's the real guy, and the person who's in charge is just his patsy?
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking. Like there's a guy in charge, but he's basically a puppet.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would actually work very well, because especially since it I think that would work well with him, where he kind of, anytime the person dies, he can just put up a new guy and he doesn't have to worry.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you want to try and find him. So and you want to kind of have this little side story here kind of be relevant, not just as this guy wants this guy dead or punished or whatever. Interesting conundrum. I think you have a couple of options. One is that you have her figure out how to kill him in a different city from this one. Another option, and then she sends word, and they both meet up at the city where her father is, and he gives her his help. Another option is he is visiting on business in this particular city, so it's kind of they have a rapidly closing window of opportunity. Or she tells him, I know where this guy is, and he's like, all right, fine, I'll come with you to help you kill him. Those are the options that I can see.
Yeah.
What are kind of like your initial, like, there could be other options. Those are just the ones that kind of spring to my mind. What are your thoughts on what you would like to happen? Since ultimately this is your story, I'm just providing options.
My thought was that the main character was gonna try to go undercover. She's gonna have like some type of mental shield, be it a jewel or something that keeps her mind protected, so he can't tell that what her true intentions are. And I worry from her doing this undercover thing, like how it would it being too easy, like she's able to get up no problem. I do want to present some challenges with that. I'm thinking, of course, she's like stepped in over her head, because this is a big guy she's trying to take down here. So my thought was, like, at some point she does get discovered, and the teachers has found out what she's trying to do, and comes in that way.
Okay. So, is it kind of a like she goes off on her own, or does she make a deal with him? How do you want that to kind of like play out?
My thinking was that she's met up with like these two other characters that are going to go with her for this whole thing, try to help her take the guy down, and then so they can also act as witnesses, saying, hey, we saw her when she was there, she really helped take down this guy. She really is serious about being your student.
Okay, so you're thinking it's she goes off on her own, trying to figure out a way to do it, either by maybe taking some kind of memento from him, or his head, or whatever, and then these two will just kind of be her backup / witnesses, and when they come back, and the what's his face, the mental wizard like doesn't know yet, or at least like hasn't like engaged with her enough to know like what she wants to do. And she just kind of, because she kind of just impulsively runs off to try and do this once she figures out there's a way to do it. Since that seems to kind of fit with her character. She wants to she kind of wants to kind of do things quickly and wants to kind of just get things done. Is that a correct assessment of this character?
Yeah, that is correct. She just, because of the fact that her father has been in prison for so long, she really she has a strong sense of urgency, like almost when it comes to things like this, because she thinks as soon as I learn this magic, I can get my father out of prison, and that the sooner she gets this guy, the sooner her teacher will approve for her, and the sooner she can get her dad out of prison.
Okay. Okay. So what? So you want her to infiltrate, correct?
Yeah, she's going to infiltrate the murderers, kind of like gang, so to speak. She's going to pretend like she's interested in him or something, when really she's just trying to wait for that right opportunity to take the guy down and drag him back to the city where he can be arrested, and she can show and she can go to the wizard and be like, hey, look, I got the guy. Please help me now.
Okay. So are these guys, so is this guy's powers like Professor X levels, or is he just able to read minds? How does that work?
My theory was, because I was calling it truth magic originally, but I don't know if I'd be able to get away with it, because there's another story where truth magic is used. But my theory was originally with the mind reading thing, you can discern between someone telling the truth and someone telling a lie, and maybe kind of you could find out what their secrets are. So if they've buried, let's say if they buried treasure somewhere, you can find the location of where they buried that treasure. So you're able to find what it is that they're hiding.
Okay. So it's kind of more like you're a human lie detector as opposed to a mind reader. Is that correct? Okay.
That's correct.
Alrighty. So okay, that makes things a lot easier. So it just makes it so that everything, every lie that she says is true, or at least comes off as true to his internal buzzer. Okay. So in terms of this, what kind of questions are you trying to work through with this?
You mean in terms of what she would ask the guy, or?
Well, just I mean just I guess things you personally need to troubleshoot in terms of this anything within this kind of frame in this section.
I'm thinking for some of the parts I definitely need to troubleshoot. Like I mentioned, she is of course going to get caught at some point, so I'm trying to think of how that would happen plausibly. And why he wouldn't just straight up just kill her right then and there.
I imagine that. So sometimes in stories like this, gangs will have an honor code. If you challenge the guy to some kind of contest and you win, you get to be on top. But if you lose, you die.
Yeah.
Or something like that. There's options like that. there's also she gets out. She maybe she makes an attempt on his life, fails, gets severely wounded, has to escape, and then she figures out another way of going about it. That's oh, sorry, go for it.
It's fine. Let's go ahead.
I was just going to say, then kind of becomes the question of what are the two attempts and why does one fail and the other doesn't?
I would say maybe her getting injured in escape would make more sense. Because with the honor code, I mean,
It doesn't really make sense that somebody like this would set up something like that.
he wouldn't be the type to do it. The most I could think of for that is maybe when he learns who she's trying to get to help her, because of the fact he was the one who killed all the wizard students and everything, that he somehow thinks that maybe he might be a student of his already.
Mm-hmm. And perhaps he wants to torture out the information out of her.
Yeah.
And then she sets up a way to get him into a trap.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
Since you have already set up that she has two friends
Mm-hmm.
that she might be able to utilize, and so you'll have to take, if you want to do the injury route, you'll have to take her whatever wound that she has into consideration.
Yes, of course.
And there's also the possibility of what kind of if she's lost her magic ability, or her talisman or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because if she loses her talisman, that's actually a really good low point, I think, where she'll be like, oh shoot.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's kind of I'm thinking at some point she loses it, and that's the thing that kind of triggers him. Maybe he's able to pick it off her at one point because he, kind of a pickpocket, I would imagine. And that's when she's like, oh crap.
Or maybe he even recognizes, and if it's a locket or a bracelet, he just pulls it off of her.
Mm-hmm.
So what? So you're thinking, so if it's so what are your kind of your thoughts so far, on what you've kind of decided to do after as we've been talking, so I kind of know where you're at and where you're trying to go with this, so that way I don't go off on a tangent that's not necessarily very helpful to you.
You mean overall, or in terms of the plots going?
How the plot's going, in this particular section, what? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. My one frame of thinking was at the end of the story itself was that the teacher, first he scolds her, of course, for doing something as reckless as she did, because again, dangerous criminal and everything. But he would also kind of have to respect the fact that she wanted to help somehow, and would finally hear her out. And at the end of the story, he agrees to take her on as a student, and then that's when it would lead up into book 2, where they start getting into stuff with investigating the mom and everything.
Oh, okay. So the getting the dad out of prison isn't necessarily something that's going to be solved right off the bat, right at the end of the book. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I think that actually sounds like a good idea for a neat little two-part duology. And you were thinking about a trilogy, so what? And with, I'm just kind of wondering where the story would go, after kind of they investigate the mom and finish her off at the end of book 2. And so what's like the structure there that you're thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with also doing a duology, but my frame of thinking, like, I've had this other character I've been like working on, and she's like the ex-girlfriend to the one of the other characters. I'm trying to figure out, like, I wanted there to be a connection between this character and her mother, and my thought was that she's trying, as she's learning her abilities, she's learning about this ex-girlfriend who basically set him up in the worst way possible. She also he wasn't arrested. She also accused him of doing something terrible to her, which was not true. And
Hmm.
she wanted to help clear his name as well, but again, I'm just worried that might be deviating too much and being too repetitive.
Hmm. So in terms of that, there are. So do you want to make this character um, like an overarching villain for the series, or kind of more of a one-off? How do you want to handle it?
This one,
Like ideally.
yeah, like she would be a one-off because it has to do with the one of the other characters, and some of the stuff that he went through, and why the main character feels sympathetic towards this character, and why she empathizes with what he's been going through is because he went through something, well, not the exact same, similar to her dad. But I do worry because, again, like I said, I think this is why I'm not opposed to having it be a duology. It's just because I'm worried it might be like, oh, here's some this whole story is a filler. Let's get back to the main one and the third one.
So my thought with this character is, are you how familiar are you with the Three Musketeers in any form or adaptation?
I seen one of the movies one time years ago. I don't remember which one. It may have been, unless I'm confusing this with something else. One of them, it was like, I think the Mel Brooks version, where one of the characters unless I'm confusing it with Robin Hood, she wears like this lock on her panties or something.
That would be Robin Hood Men in Tights. Yes. Uh, so there's a lady named Milady de Winter who kind of acts as both an assassin and an information broker within the story of the Three Musketeers. Maybe this is that type of, you could use kind of that type character archetype for this person, and she's kind of got some kind of dirt on the mom, or has the answers about the mom, or is kind of the person that the mom utilized kind of just as like just paid to uh, what is it, testify against the dad and provide fake evidence.
Oh, that would work. That would work really well.
So she's kind of just like, she's not even like malicious, she's just kind of a knife for hire.
Yeah.
And so they want to go, they decide to go after her to figure out, like, okay, how do we kind of, what's mom's weakness, like, here you are kind of the linchpin in order to get dad out of prison, because you have you are the main testimony against him.
Yeah, that could definitely work.
So that could be the way that kind of you are able to kind of fit this character in an organic way, so that she doesn't fall by the wayside or feel like filler.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what are some other things that you're trying to work through with this story? You mentioned the magic system. Have you kind of resolved that, or is that still something that you're working on, or is kind of you still want to keep chatting about the plot? I'm just whatever you want to do. I'm down to chat. I've got about 25 more minutes. I have like 25 minutes, and it's to spare.
Well, in terms of the magic system, one of the other people in the Discord, Bob the Warlock, if you're watching this, thank you. He made a suggestion I thought really could work. It was that with the humans, they have to use incantations and everything for their spells, and with elves, it would be more like it just naturally comes to them. And I thought it'd be a great obstacle for in terms of like that truth-telling magic, because it would make having to learn it just make it seem a little more difficult rather than having it come to her easy. That was my thought anyway.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Okay. So it's kind of just like sometimes like it kind of like I guess how it kind of works in The Witcher, where Ciri, because she is of the elder blood, kind of has stronger magic than usual. Is that correct?
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. And this, how does the, and this is your main character one of these people, or is she going to be coming up against people like this and she has to figure out ways to get around them?
I'm thinking, probably finding out ways to get around them, because she does have the human limitations as opposed to what the elves can do, so things for her aren't going to be as easy to learn. When it comes, she knows like basic magic and everything, but it's not like again, the lie detector magic is like the key thing that she really, really wants to learn and really needs to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm thinking for like the ones that are stronger than her, she's going to have to go up against them and try to be, outwit. She has to try to outwit them and be more clever than them in other ways.
Okay. I like that idea. Kind of like usually kind of a character in a book like has some kind of magic specialty about them. Like, but I think that's good that you're kind of figuring out, okay, no, I'm going to make a team that is genetically special, for lack of a better word. But my main character is not going to be part of that, so she has obstacles to go up against. I think that's a very good point.
Thank you.
So, what like are there other things that you kind of want to troubleshoot, or what kind of just throw anything you want at me?
I mean, the one thing I've been working on for the setup is like what the crime was. My brain was thinking robbery, because her dad gets locked up for like a long time, So I'm trying to think of like what kind of evidence would there be for a robbery. I mean, we definitely talked about the testimony with the other, with that one other character.
Mm-hmm.
As a possibility. There's something that helped her to prove that, hey, my mom was the one who set this up the whole time.
So if it's a theft and he's going to be put away interminably, it's probably an artifact of very great value.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought was what if it's some kind of... So is this a place with a king, or is this kind of a mayoral / lord kind of town where she's living in?
The town she's living in would have a lord. The elven town she goes to has a king, queen.
Okay. Okay, so with in terms of the theft that happens, what would it work if it was some kind of important heirloom of the city, or a what is it? Or like some valuable possession of the Lord?
That could definitely work. Maybe like it could be like anything like from a jewelry box. I mean, I could definitely figure out what the item is. It could be, but yeah, something that could be very valuable to the Lord would definitely work.
Yeah, and so that would kind of explain like why his punishment is so severe that it's like a long time imprisonment.
Yeah.
You could also have it be that maybe not that he's in a prison, since she could possibly break him out of a prison and just go on the run. What if he's on a galley, kind of like Jean Valjean or in Quarries?
That could definitely work.
Mm-hmm. And that would kind of explain, like, because they don't want to clog up prisons, so they just build galley ships that have irregular sail routes, so that the families of the prisoners don't try to get them out.
Yeah. That's also definitely something to consider too.
Mm-hmm. Since that might be fun to consider, where you have a just a time where you have this just rather than kind of having a stone prison, you have an infrequent like irregular trade route thing that needs to work. And so they figured out, okay, here is a way that we can solve this particular problem and make sure that nobody tries to get people in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or out of prison, as the case may be.
Yeah. Or maybe some like kind of rotation or something where they're in prison for a while and then they go out to the galley.
Mm-hmm. And it's done randomly so that nobody can like try to get them out.
Yeah.
So kind of first book, kind of the antagonist is this this guy. How does this murderer guy, how are you thinking that she gets into like his circle and works her way up?
That is a good question. I've been trying to think on that one too.
Okay. So one option could be that one thing that might be of use is if she can read. So one thing that he might have slight troubles with is he doesn't have as many people. He usually has to teach people on the streets how to read, like a guy named Varys in GOT. What he did to rise up in the world and become a spy master was become an information broker. But the way that he did that was not by by training a bunch of small kids to read. And they would initially he would have them steal letters, but then eventually he realized it would be better to have them just read it, memorize it, and then come back to him and recite the information.
Yeah.
So that could be the thing that she gives of worth, is that she has a very acute and nearly eidetic memory.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be the thing that she brings to the table, in terms of that's just like her skill that she has that's unique to her.
Yeah.
Or at least like, and it's kind of a minor skill in and of itself, but in this it could be very significant because she just kind of blinks and then she just memorizes the words on a page.
Ooh, that could definitely work.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how she gets in, is just like proving that she has the ability to tell this guy back exactly what's something in like a letter or whatever. He just sends her into like a burglary and just tells her, look in these particular drawers and come back to me with all the information in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be the way that she just goes on several spy missions, and then kind of she's eventually like something kind of just clicks in his head. You can decide whatever that is, and then kind of what happens is like he grabs her thing, nearly kills her, but she manages to escape with the help of her friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think I could utilize that to some extent.
Yeah, and maybe that's kind of one of the things that she is able to like in the military, like she's like an excellent scribe or whatever, because she has the ability to just, and that's why she's kind of at least like able to have like a relatively cushy life in the military, is because she's a secretary. That was actually a good point.
Yeah, that is. That is a very good point.
Where kind of like you remember every single like you can't like brush over trauma. You kind of have to always live with it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's kind of why she's so eager to get her dad out of prison, because she can't shake that feeling of like any of the emotions that she felt when he got taken away.
Yeah. Definitely think that would be the sure.
Let's see. What are some what are like some other questions that you have that you're trying to work through, or like obstacles in the writing that you're trying to overcome?
Mm-hmm. Let's see. My guess would probably be like the wizard finding out, like if I should wait till, have it that he doesn't find out till after everything's happened, or my thinking was that he would find out while she's doing all this and try to talk her out of it, because again he's lost all of his students because of this guy, so he he wouldn't want someone else to die because trying to prove themselves to him. Not
So
thinking, go ahead.
so it's basically you're trying to figure out like the mechanics of like how he gets there in time, or just barely on time.
Yeah, something like that too. Or how he gets involved with helping to take down the guy who murdered all all of his students.
Let me think. So there's a few options here. One is that the person that he's chummy with, who at least like his companion, tells him about it, and he's like, oh crap. And then he just finally shakes himself out of his apathy and kind of goes after her. That
Yeah.
might be the best option.
Huh?
At least like that's the option that makes the most sense, since I don't know if she would necessarily send a letter to him.
No. She wouldn't tell him until she's actually caught the guy.
Mm-hmm.
She, and in her head thinking she's gonna drag him back to the city and get him put in prison.
Dunkel actually had a good point. As another good point. So, would you say that is the case, or is it something ever so slightly different?
I'd say slightly different. I think my thought was that after having his friends for the wizard, that having all of his friends and all of the other students just killed, that while he was left alive, the whole situation kind of broke him. For a while.
So, Luke in TLJ, but done right.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. He actually did continue the thought.
Yes. Lindsay is officially the teacher. Yeah.
Yeah, there needs to be some measure of like emotional investment on his part.
Absolutely. I like to writer than Ryan Johnson.
That's not difficult. There are multiple better writers than Ryan Johnson. I would honestly say that, like, Aaron Kruger, bland as he is a better writer than Ryan Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate the Transformers movies.
I haven't seen them, so I know. I've heard they're bad.
I think that most of their, considering the other projects that Aaron Kruger has been on, like Brothers Grimm and Dumbo, I'd say that the main cause of the badness is Michael Bay.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Bay explosions is a term.
Also, the racism against everybody.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the twins that are two black stereotypes, though admittedly one of them is played by a white actor, and they have deformed monkey faces.
Oh, jeez.
And they say, no, we don't do much reading.
Oof. That is a big oof.
Yeah, Mr. Bay, I think that Mr. Bay just hates everyone, since he also makes the parents of the main character dress up in these weird track suits in the third one and just never take them off.
Weird.
Yeah. I think a guy named Film Crit Hulk has said, like, Michael Bay displays certain sociopathic tendencies, and I'm like, I wouldn't disagree with that diagnosis. I'd need to see what other things he fits, but yeah, he doesn't seem like he peoples well.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah. But keep going with what you would like to do, and kind of how you're working on accomplishing it, or at least like how you're trying to troubleshoot it.
Like, again, like, my one concern was just like how real, I guess, like, how plausible would it be for someone to kind of give up after losing everything? I mean, I think on an emotional level it would make sense. Especially considering what he, can do in terms of, like, the truth-telling magic.
An option might be that somehow the guy broke his ability. That the murderer somehow broke his master's ability in some way. Like, he hit him on the head. Or damaged something internally to the point where he is unable to fully use his gift. And that's why she has to learn from him, is because, and not just get his help and ask him to come with her, because like something internally is broken. Kind of like, have you read the Inheritance Cycle?
Years ago, like I read the first book and that was it.
Okay, so this is you don't have to worry. It's basically Star Wars, the original trilogy, with a wizard with Dragonrider coat of paint. But there is a Yoda type character, Dragonrider, that shows up in the second book, and he was tortured by the bad guys before getting out. And what happened was what happened to him was he gets seizures frequently, and his ability to use magic is drastically weakened, so that he can't really engage with Galbatorix directly, even though he is a Dragon Rider.
Yeah, Blue also makes a very excellent point too.
Yeah, I would definitely concur with that. So in terms of like, oh, go for it. Sorry, you were about to say something.
One thing I would think is that, well, I do like the idea of something being broken to where he couldn't use the magic. It would also kind of, you know, how would she be able to learn from him if he can't use the abilities anymore?
She could tell him theoreticals. He could tell her the theoreticals and like the principles of it.
Yeah, I suppose. It's something to think about for sure.
Yeah, Dunkelzan also said it could also have something to do with Will. That's also a thing, where he's just so down in the dumps and depressed that it doesn't work very well.
Yeah, that could definitely work too.
And that might be why this guy is so powerful, is because the murderer, at least, is so powerful, is because he has a strong will.
This is true. Yeah, this could definitely work.
And kind of with this, like, he feels like with this kind of opportunity opened up to him, he feels like his strength is kind of coming back to him, and he decides to go off to try and help out.
Yeah.
Though how fast the travel is also going to be something you're going to have to consider. How is he going to get there on time, or is he going to get there after the action?
Yeah, that's something to also consider too, for sure.
And it's ultimately up to you which you choose. Those are just like the options that I can see based on what you've outlined to me.
Yeah.
So what have you thought of in terms of what other questions were you trying to work through and get answered? Sorry if I keep repeating that question. I just want to make sure.
I'm just trying to see if there's anything else at all. Like we got through a lot of the big ones that I was like stuck on, so to speak. I mean, I guess the one thing, I mean, was the role of the, making sure the friends aren't just like, the sidelines, because they are also players too in this in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd probably have to work through that one depending on how I can manage to take the story.
Mm-hmm. So, and it's 2 people, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, and she meets them on the way, or are they buddies that she meets with in the academy, or whatever she kind of military thing she's at?
One is a friend, a lifelong friend of hers that she's known since she was little, that lives in the city. That the one that's she's going to be staying with when she first gets there, and the other one she meets when she first arrives. And he's kind of the one who warns her when she's trying to, he's kind of the one who I was thinking lets her know ahead of time that, oh, by the way, this guy he's a grumpy old man. He doesn't talk to anybody.
Okay. And so what kind of skills are these 2 people going to have that will help her, or at least like further her journey and further like her quest? How are they going? What kind of skills are they going to have that will service the plot?
One is a seamstress. Her skills, whatever, it's sewing and everything. And the other one is, I'm thinking, due to everything that's happened with him, he's sort of like a aspiring spy master, so to speak.
Okay. Those are some interesting ideas for kind of a 3-guy band. It's a very different. It's a very different. So, could it be that this guy is thinking, oh, well, maybe that she kind of gets to this guy by saying, hey, if we get in with this guy, you can take over his business.
Yeah, that's definitely something to consider.
Yeah, but he's kind of the more moral spy master type.
Yeah.
As opposed to the more maybe he's even like not even like a spy master. Maybe he's a law person. Like he's kind of the equivalent of a CIA agent or something.
Oh, that could definitely work.
Or like he's kind of a lawful government official who wants to like get rid of this underground seedy version of what he's trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So, and this is like, and she's like the other friend who's the seamstress. She's like a magical seamstress. So I imagine that actually might be good in combat if that needs to be. Like she could sew up somebody's pants together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is admittedly somewhat cartoony, but like, so like can she like telepathically direct the needle, or do her fingers just work quickly when it's applied to anything related to cloth or fabric?
Her fingers work quickly, and I'm also thinking with her type of magic, she's able to manipulate cloth a little bit to make it either harder, denser, or softer, depending on what she needs done for it.
So that actually, have you heard of the tale of the set? I think it's like the Six Sisters or something.
The Tale of the Six Sisters?
Yeah, it's a book where basically there's I think like 4 or 5 girls. Each one decides to cut their hair and dress up as boys.
Mm-hmm.
And they each learn a skill, and one of the skills that one of them learns is tailoring, and
okay.
she gets a magic needle that will allow her to knit anything.
Ooh.
Like she can knit armor, an egg that's been shattered, and or a what is it? Or like just a ship that's been broken. wood, anything. She can just fix whatever with this needle.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this is the first time I've heard of this particular story, but definitely sounds that power definitely sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of a short story, short fairy tale type story.
Okay.
And each of the four sisters learns a different skill. Like one learns to be a hunter, and she gets a gun that will be able to hit anything. Another one gets a spyglass that can see wherever in the world she wants, and another one has a cap of invisibility
Yeah.
ability because she learns to be a finger artist, where she can easily pickpocket anything.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of the idea. That's just an idea that you could use.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'll consider for sure.
So, and so kind of, I think that actually would work in terms of you'd have to then kind of figure out how does she get this guy on her side enough to say, okay, I'll give you some measure of support here.
Mm-hmm.
Because
work.
yeah, because if he's an official, he would probably be like, okay, I'm going to hear you out, but I don't know how much resources I can commit to you.
Mm-hmm.
Either that, or he's a low-ranking aspiring spy master, like he's kind of like that police sergeant who, or like understudy agent who really wants to get good with the bosses and thinks that this is his opportunity.
Oh yeah.
So, and like thinks that this could be like a really good chance for him to get some advancement without her necessarily having a lot of resources at her disposal.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Mm-hmm. So, was there anything else that you would? Were there other? You said that you had a couple of other questions. What were you kind of trying to work through? Kind of just so we can just so I can give you as much help as I can.
Yeah. I think those were all of the big ones. Like anything else seems to be like really small stuff I think I could work through. Like nothing particular is like really coming to mind at the moment. Because I think the ones I mentioned were the ones I was having a really hard time with.
Alrighty. Well, good. I'm very excited to see what kind of work you do on this.
Thank you.
I think we'll call it at that. It seems like this has been very productive. This has been a very productive hour and a half-ish.
Thank you. Thank you. And I really appreciate your help. You gave me a lot to think about, and I definitely have some options I would never have thought of or considered without this. So thank you.
Of course. I'm glad to be here to be of service. And thank you for coming on. I've had a fun time just chatting with you about your book.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course. Well, I have to say thank you to people in the chat. Thank you to Visitor Massacre, Criminal Imagination, Drake the Duist, Blue, Dunkelzan, Noble Commando, Dr. Crow, Jarika Archie, or Janare. Thank you all for coming on. I've appreciated your time. Thank you all so much, and I will see you guys later. Bye.